looked around. And he said, I am lonely. I will make me a world. And the light broke, and the darkness rose on one side, and the light stood shining on the other. And God said, that's good. And God reached out. He took the light in his hand, and he rolled the light in his hands until he had made the sun. And he set the sun ablazing into heaven. And the light that was left from making the sun, God gathered into a shining ball, and he flung against the darkness, spraying the night with the moon and the star. And deep down between the darkness and the light, he heard the world. And God said, that's good. Then he himself stepped down. The sun was on his right side, and the moon was on his left. The stars was clustered about his head, and the earth was under his feet. And he walked, and where he trod, his footsteps hollowed the valley out, and he budged the mountain up. Then God stopped, and he looked, and he saw that the earth was hot and barren. So God stepped over to the edge of the world, and he spat out 7 seas. He batted his eyes, and the lightning, he clapped his hands, and the thunder rolled, and the water from above came down. The cooling water came down. The green grass sprouted, the little red flower blossomed, the pine tree pointed his fingers to the sky. The oak tree spread out his arm. The lake curved itself into the hollow of the ground, and the river ran down to the sea. Then God smiled again, and the rainbow appeared and curved itself around his shoulder. Then God raised his hands, and he waved his hands over the sea and over the land. And God said, bring forth, bring forth. And quicker than God could drop his hand, fish and fowl, beast and bird, roam the ocean and the sea, split the wings there. And God said, that's good. Then God walked around, and he looked around. On all that he had made. He looked at the moon, he looked at the stars, looked at all the beautiful creation, and God said, I am lonely still. Then God sat down by the bank of the river where he could think. He sat down with his head in his hands. And he thought and thought until he thought, I will make me a man. There by the bank of the river, he kneeled down. There, this great God Almighty, who flung the stars to the farmost corner of the night, who rounded the earth in the corner of his hand, this great God, like a mammoth, bending over her baby, tossing over a lump of clay, and shaping it into his own image. And into it he blew the breath of life, and man became a living soul. Amen. Amen. We lived in Oviedo, Florida, and she did in South of Florida. And Alberta was always a short person, so they used to put her on a table, let her do the creation or other speeches. It was very inspirational. She put her robe on and had somebody illustrate while she was doing it, and it had the church really excited. It was very good.
Well, she is an awesome woman, and I believe it was maybe in the 2000s, sometime in 2000, the first time I seen her doing this, the creation. And it was just so awesome because she's a woman of faith, and as she was doing the creation, it was very inspiring, and I was able to feel the presence of the Lord because the anointing, her words was totally anointed by God.
I have very fond memories of my mother performing, dramatizing the creation. As a child, I watched her go from different churches across the state of Georgia where she was asked to speak and to recite the creation, and just watching the crowds and just seeing their reaction, she would always get standing ovations. My mother has a way of really just adding to the poem and just making the audience feel like they are there. They're watching God create the world in 7 days.
I remember the first time I got a chance to experience my mother doing the creation. It was at Beulah Baptist Church. Me, my sister, we all sat on the same row with my mother, the third row from the front. And it was a full house that Sunday. And out of the blue, the late Archbishop Jimmy Lee Smith, he called my mother up to do the creation. And I remember being so afraid for my mom. I had her hand, I held her hand, I said, "Oh, Mom, you can do it." And she looked and she bowed down her head and she began to pray. And he said, "Come on up, Miss Lewis, come on up, Miss Lewis." And we were so afraid, but my mom, she bowed her head, and I know she was praying then. And she began to go up toward the front, and me and my sister, we stood up just in awe, wondering, you know, how this was going to take place. But as Mama got up in front of everybody, she turned around for one moment, and then she became another person. She was absolutely wonderful. She made the creation by James Weldon Johnson come alive. It was touching. Even the young people from on the sides, they were looking. Everybody was, I mean, and I looked at even the older people who had never been standing up at the church. They were standing up looking at her, you know, as she began to step out, step out and do the dramatic play. It was absolutely